Order. Sergeant Arms will please secure the chamber doors. Members, please take your seats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President.
All right, Senators, on this Tuesday, February 10th, with the warm-up that is happening outside, we have in here, in this wonderful chamber, we have Reverend Scott Shelton from Heritage Baptist Church from Annapolis, Maryland, guest of the distinguished senator from the capital city. Please rise for the invocation.
Let's pause together. In the midst of long days and debates, hearings and votes, we come to this moment, to today. Not yesterday with its unfinished arguments and lingering wish I would'ves, not tomorrow with its unknowns and anxieties and fears, but today, the only thing that is with certainty right in front of us. So may the words spoken today be measured with favor in the long scope of history. May the actions taken today beat to the healthiest rhythms of history. And may the faces and paintings and statues inside and outside our Capitol building smile in pride at the bravery shown in this chamber today. We long for the mountaintop of success, but we know the real work, the real negotiation, the real struggle is in the valley of today. So give these leaders the strength and endurance needed today. Today, courage is needed. Today, strength is needed. Today, wisdom is needed. Today, compassion is needed. Today, boldness is needed. Today, a heightened awareness of our brothers and sisters is needed. So give courage, give strength, give wisdom, give compassion, give boldness, and give awareness today. Amen.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I recognize the senator from the capital city.
Thank you, Mr. President. We truly are grateful for the prayer of Dr. Scott. I ask that his comments be journalized.
Without objection, most certainly we'll journalize the Reverend's invocation. Thank you, Senator. Thank you for being here today. All right, has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 42 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is again in session. Let's see, do we have introductions? Actually, before we do that, no. Okay, let's do introductions first. Introductions, any introductions? Yes, recognize the senator from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 3 guests today, if we can give them a warm Senate welcome. I have Sydney Engler. She's an intern in the Finance Committee, and she's a sophomore at the University of Maryland. Nora Gary is the receptionist for the Finance Committee, a graduate of Baird College and the daughter of MGA's Norm Debbie Gary. And I also have with me a resident from District 32 that's the operations manager at a biotechnology startup in Baltimore. She supports business and laboratory operations as well as cross-functional project manager. She has of course, her bachelor's and her MBA from the Raymond A. Mason School of Business, and she's here to watch the magic happen today. Thank you, Mr.
Well, welcome. Thank you all for being here today. Thanks for being here. Yes, Senator from Carroll County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask the body to join me in welcoming folks that are here from Leadership Carroll 2026 from our Carroll County Chamber. I think they're up. Some of them are up in the gallery or up there behind. Just ask the body to give them a warm welcome as they watch Annapolis in action today.
Excellent. Welcome to Leadership Carroll. Thank you for being here with us. Senator from the 37th District.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, we'd ask you to give a warm welcome. We have representatives from NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, up in the gallery today. I'm not sure where you are with the green shirts. There they are. Thank you for coming out to be with us today. Where's the applause, folks?
Welcome to NAMI.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. And also, I'd like to introduce some representatives from our local soil conservation district. They do a lot of education promoting environmental best practices. John Swain and Sean Smith are up in the balcony. Can you all stand for us? Thank you for being here.
Welcome. Thank you for your work protecting our earth. Yes, Senator from Prince George's.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I have a very special guest on the floor today, if she would stand. This is my niece, Violet Augustine, who is shadowing me, a senator, over the course of the next couple of days. And if we could just give her a warm Senate welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome. Senator from the 45th, Baltimore City.
That's good. Yeah. So we need to both be on it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, today we are joined by Baltimore Promise. Baltimore Promise in the leadership of our CEO, Julia Bays. When I think about Baltimore Promise, Mr. President, working with the greatest gifts that we've been given on this earth, which is our young people. They are a data-driven nonprofit organization dedicated to ensuring that teens, our young adults in our city, our region, are set up for a path of not just success physically, mentally, but also financially. When we think about workforce, when we think about education, when we think about just pouring into our young people, they're serving 42,000 people, 42,000 young people, Mr. President. And if we can, just give them a warm Senate welcome for the work that they do, and like I said, the investment that they make each and every day.
Excellent. Thank you to Baltimore's Promise, doing great work, using data-informed decisions. It's excellent, excellent work. We do have some more introductions. Before we do that, because we were swapping with the House with some of our resolutions today, if we could recognize the Majority Leader, who has a resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joining us today are librarians from all over the state as we celebrate Maryland Library Day. Our libraries are the heart of our communities, and our librarians are their guardians. When libraries thrive, our residents thrive with them, and it is librarians who make that possible by meeting the ever-evolving needs of our communities. Please join me in welcoming our librarians, and Mr. President, we have a resolution.
The clerk will read the resolution in full.
Be it hereby known to all that the Senate of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to the Maryland Library Association in recognition of the essential resources, innovative services and programs, and the widespread community support provided by Maryland's libraries. The entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 10th day of February 2026.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. To the Maryland Library Association, the Senate of Maryland unanimously celebrates your wonderful, wonderful work and appreciates you every single day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as I say every year, my mother-in-law is a retired librarian, so I really love the librarians out there. Please make sure that gets passed along to her. All right. Next we have Senator from the 38th District.
Good morning, Mr. President and colleagues. The proud Stephen Decatur tradition of bringing home state championships has continued. As we will recall, Decatur State Championship 2A Wrestling in 2024, their 5th straight title championship, and Decatur's back-to-back state football 2A championships in 23 and 24. Today, we are recognizing and celebrating the exceptional Stephen Decatur High School men's soccer team as the 2025 3A state soccer champions. This win is extraordinary, as it is the first state championship win by the Decatur men's soccer team since 2002. And with a nod to my friend and colleague from District 9, whose team made the finals, the Decatur men's soccer team defeated the Centennial High School men's soccer team 4-1 to win the Class 3A boys soccer state championship. And in the title game, Decatur jumped on the board in the first half when senior wing Elijah Isett centered the ball to junior striker Cruz Henson, who hammered a left-footed shot by Centennial's goalie. After halftime, Elijah Isett served another left-footed center to Cruz Henson, who put Decatur up 2-1. Senior Isaiah Rodriguez made Decatur's third goal after Centennial failed to clear the ball out of their end. Rodriguez fired a shot from near half field high into the top right-hand corner, and minutes later, Rodriguez converted again on a short deflection to put Decatur up 4-1, the team's winning score. This team was led to victory by varsity head coach Jamie Greenwood, a longtime family and church friend who has been coaching at Stephen Decatur High School for over 30 years, and he previously led the 2002 state championship win as an assistant coach. How sweet it is now as varsity coach. I also want to recognize the leadership of assistant coaches Marshall, Ball, Ray, athletic director Dan DeBronze, and assistant principal Trevor Hill. And what I want to share with my colleagues that this team's 93-day journey from practice to winning the state championship reflects countless hours of hard work, patience, perseverance, and the building of faith, trust, and brotherhood. The Decatur Soccer Championship team is a family, and I have seen this family in action at the Berlin and Ocean City Christmas parades, but really what touches my heart, being true role models for younger students as they have visited Buckingham Elementary School in Berlin and Shall and Ocean City Elementary Schools. You are role models to those younger students. This team is all heart, and as a proud Decatur graduate myself, I am humbled to recognize the accomplishments of this remarkable team, the Stephen Decatur High School Soccer 3A State Championship team, and honor you with this Maryland Senate resolution.
Clerk will read the resolution in full.
Be it hereby known to all that the Senate of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to Stephen Decatur men's varsity soccer team in recognition of winning the 2025 men's soccer 3A Maryland State Championship. We applaud your outstanding season and wish you many more. The entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 10th day of February 2026.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. The Senate of Maryland unanimously celebrates the Stephen Decatur men's varsity soccer team for your 2025 men's soccer 3A state championship. Congratulations. Well done. Remember to keep up that success on the pitch and in the classroom. Championships in both places. Keep up the good work. All right, we have one additional resolution today. Senator from Montgomery County.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We've got the Clarksburg High School girls varsity flag football team, the Coyotes, here in the Senate chamber. In November, the Coyotes won the 4A, 3A state championship, the team's second consecutive state championship. They won in 2024. We are talking dominance here, Mr. President. In November, the Clarksburg girls, the team here defeated Whitman High School, also from Montgomery County, in the championship game at M&T Stadium, 19-0. And they have only lost, Mr. President, one game since 2024. And so this is, they currently are holding a 29-game winning streak over the last 2 seasons. So with that, Mr. President, if we could read the resolution.
The clerk will read the resolution in full.
Be it hereby known to all that the Senate of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to the Clarksburg High School girls varsity flag football team in recognition of winning the 2025 Maryland 4A, 3A girls flag football state championship. We applaud your outstanding season and wish you many more. The entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 10th day of February 2026.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? If so, if we could help, the clerk will take the call. To the young women of the Clarksburg High School girls varsity flag football team, congratulations on your 2025 3A, 4A state championship. Well done. One of the fastest growing sports right now, outside of pickleball, flag football. It's great. Huge growth. Well done. Oh, I forgot to make sure it stay on the field and in the classroom.
Mr. President,
excellence. Yes, Senator.
while the team is leaving, I did want to make one related note on the topic of football. About 2 years ago, this body, when it did the roll call about the Super Bowl, we almost nailed it perfect. It was the Chiefs 25-22. I mean, it was like by one. And so Las Vegas has been watching this chamber as a predictor. I know the experts. So when we put that vote last week on the board Thursday, they were watching, and we the spread on Thursday was 4.5. The Seahawks were 4.5 point favorites. We put a 28-8 vote up there. It ended up being 29-13 in favor. So looking ahead, I just want to put it out there. The Las Vegas is watching us. We are a predictor of the markets for Super Bowls into the future, and I just want to thank the chamber for being so, I don't know, informed on,
Prescient.
whatever it is. Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, we were right there. Prediction markets are following every piece of data, you know. All right, let's see. We do have additional guests. Senator from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Mr. President. It might not be quite as fun as the Super Bowl, but it's critically more important, which is our 911 centers. I'm really thrilled to have with me as my shadow today my friend Scott Haas. Scott has been not only the head of the Queen Anne's County 911 Center. He's worked there since 1994 and has been the director since 2015. Does a tremendous job for the residents of Queen Anne's County. But about a year ago, he was elevated to become chair of the statewide 911 board, which is the source of funding for all 24 jurisdictions to upgrade your 911 software, hardware, and he does a wonderful job, very collaborative, very well prepared, working with MDEM, the Maryland Department of Emergency Management, with me and with many others, and I'm grateful. In addition to that, I do want to note that he has been a volunteer firefighter and paramedic since 1990, so he's really someone who gives back to the community, and he was so interested to join us today. I know he's going to have an interesting, fun, and long day, so please join me in welcoming my friend, Scott Haas.
Welcome, Mr. Haas. Welcome. Thank you for your work. All right, further introductions. Any further introductions? If not, so be considered the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. We have some messages ahead of the State of the State tomorrow. If we could read the message to the Senate first, Madam Clerk.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the Governor of Maryland has signified his intention of addressing the General Assembly of Maryland on Wednesday, February 11th, 2026 at 12 noon in the House chamber. We propose, with your concurrence, a joint meeting of the two houses for this occasion. We have appointed delegates Baylor and Riley to escort your honorable body to the House chamber. We further propose the appointment of a joint committee to escort the governor to the House chamber. We have appointed delegates Phillips and Buckle. We further propose the appointment of a joint committee to escort Lieutenant Governor to the House chamber. We have appointed delegates Miracle North and McComas.
All right, message having been read is ordered journalized. Let's read our response. Clerk will read the message to the House.
By the Majority Leader, ladies and gentlemen of the House of Delegates, we have received your message that the Governor has signified his intention to address the General Assembly of Maryland on Wednesday, February 11th, 2026 at 12 noon, and your proposal of a joint meeting of the General Assembly in the Chamber of the House of Delegates. We respectfully concur in your message and have appointed on behalf of the Senate, Senators King and Hershey as members of the Joint Committee to escort the Governor to the Chamber of the House of Delegates. We have appointed as members of a Joint Committee, Senators Sidnor and Reedy to escort the Lieutenant Governor to the House Chamber. By order, Nicole M. Alexander, Secretary of the Senate.
Message having been read is adopted. We have a message from the House. This is a calendar of House bills. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill number 1, Delegate Crosby, investor-owned electric, gas, and gas electric companies of cost recovery, limitations, education, energy, and the environment.
Message is ordered to its appropriate standing committee. We now have an announcement, a reassignment. Clerk will read the reassignment.
In accordance with Rule 33D, the following legislation has been reassigned as indicated below. Senate Bill 624, Senator Feldman, Public Safety Short-Term Rental Units, Fire Safety, Jillian and Lindsay Weiner Short-Term Rental Fire Safety Act, reassigned to Education, Energy, and Environment.
All right, the bill will be reassigned to Education, Energy, and the Environment. All right, let's go to second readers. We'll start with Finance Committee. This will be report number 2. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 14, Chair, Finance Committee, Health Insurance, Small Business, Health Operations Options Program, SHOP Enrollment, Effective Dates, favorable.
Recognizing Chair of the Committee is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 14 is really a simple bill. It changes the enrollment date that it can be the first day of the next month. So instead of waiting, a couple of months or a longer period of time, if someone is just joining an organization or has had a change in their life plans, this will allow them to have insurance effective the first day of the next month. There are no amendments, no fiscal impact, no opposition. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 14 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 22, Chair, Finance Committee, Department of Disabilities, Housing Program, and Affiliated Foundations, Establishment, favorable with one amendment.
Recognize the senator from the 22nd District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Great bill number, by the way. This bill is a departmental bill that requires the Maryland Department of Disabilities to oversee and administer affordable and accessible housing programs and authorizes the department to establish one or more affiliated foundations. There is one amendment. It just changes the name of the Attorney General to the Office of the Attorney General. I move the amendments.
All right. Floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 22 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 134, Chair, Finance Committee, Medicare Supplement Policies, Issuance Requirements, favorable.
Recognize the senator from the 33rd as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 134 is a departmental bill that requires an insurance carrier that issues Medicare supplement policies in Maryland to issue such policies to individuals that meet specified criteria by establishing two 63-day special enrollment periods. There are no amendments. There is no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Yes, recognize this. Oh, nope. Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 134 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 139, Chair, Finance Committee, Insurance, Third-Party Administrators, Enforcement, favorable.
Recognizing the senator from Baltimore County is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 139 is a departmental bill that authorizes the insurance commissioner to impose a civil penalty of up to $10,000 for each violation of the entire insurance article by a third-party administrator, instead of only for a violation of the provision of law that directly governs third-party administrators. Additionally, this bill authorizes the commissioner to deny a third-party administrator registration to an applicant who refuses to renew, suspend, or revoke a third-party administrator registration if the applicant or the registrant has violated the insurance article or any other state law related to insurance or knowingly fails to comply with regulation or order of the commissioner. There are no amendments. There's no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 139 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 199, Senator Simonaire, Individuals with Disabilities and Service-Disabled Veterans Boating Fund, Eligible Companions, favorable.
Recognizing the senator from the Upper Eastern Shore is the floor leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Senate Bill 199 expands the purpose of the Individuals with Disabilities and Service-Disabled Veterans Boating Fund to include boating opportunities for an eligible companion. The bill also authorizes the Maryland Department of Disabilities to provide a grant for boating opportunities for individuals with disabilities or service-disabled veterans and their eligible companions. There are no amendments. There's no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Yes, I recognize the bill sponsor has an amendment.
Yes.
All right, first one for the pages. Pages, please, those who are distributing, if you would collect and distribute the senator's amendment. And Senator, once we get on the board, just give us a second. Pages, just know that you can hand it to the desk, not necessarily individual senators, in case they're focused on the important work. All right, Senator, may explain the amendment.
Thank you. I meant to put this in committee. It adds a co-sponsor. The senator from District 13 has been a champion for those with disabilities, including this program, so I just moved the amendment.
Senator objects? No, Senators move the amendment. Yes, recognize the floor leader.
Mr. President, the Senate Finance Committee is very pleased to add the chairman of the Budget and Taxation Committee as a co-sponsor of this very important piece of legislation.
All right, no issues from the committee. Any objections? Without objection, the amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 199 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 205, Chair, Finance Committee, Health Insurance, Mental Health, and Substance Use Disorders, Codification of Federal Requirements, favorable.
I recognize the senator from Howard and Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you. Senate Bill 205 is a departmental bill that codifies portions of the 2024 Federal Mental Health Parity Rule to strengthen enforcement of parity requirements for the treatment of mental health and substance use disorders. Provisions include a prohibition on the use of discriminatory factors and evidentiary evidence in the design of non-quantitative treatment limitation requirements for carriers to collect, evaluate, and act upon on relevant outcomes data, and also a requirement that carriers offer meaningful benefits to mental health and substance use disorders on par with benefits for medical and surgical services. The bill takes effect on July 1st, 2026. There were no amendments. Move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 205 is ordered printed for third reading. Our folks from NAMI, I don't know if they're still here, but certainly relevant to their advocacy. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 216, Chair, Finance Committee, Unemployment Insurance, Confidentiality of Information, favorable.
Recognizing Chair of the Unemployment Insurance Fund.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. As you can see, the Finance Committee has spread the floor report love this morning. Senate Bill 216 is a departmental bill that updates the existing framework for the protection of sensitive unemployment insurance and furthermore provides limitations for information to comply with federal requirements. The bill requires that the Maryland Department of Labor maintain the confidentiality of specified claimant and employer records and requires confidentiality provisions in state law related to UI data be interpreted in a manner that ensures compliance with federal law. There are no amendments. There's no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. The bill passed unanimously in committee. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 216 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. That does it for that calendar. Let's go to stay with finance, calendar number 3. Clerk, read the first bill.
Senate Bill 43, Chair, Finance Committee, Financial Institutions, Maryland Community Investment Venture Fund, and Regulations of Entities, revisions, favorable.
Recognize the senator from the 22nd as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This departmental bill makes several changes to the Maryland Community Investment Venture Fund, including extending by 2 years the authority for the Office of Financial Regulation to match contributions to the fund. There are no amendments to the bill. There is no opposition, and I move favorable of the adoption of the committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 43 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 46, Senator Simonaire, State Veterans Cemeteries, Internment, favorable.
Recognize the senator from the 33rd as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 46 defines interment and interment location for purposes of the interment of individuals in state veteran cemeteries, which with each interment location, the Department of Veterans and Military Families must provide an outer burial receptacle or columbarium niche and marker rather than a grave liner at no cost for the veteran or the veteran's eligible spouse or dependent. The bill also makes other conforming changes. There are no amendments. There is no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Yes, Senator has an amendment. Pages will collect and distribute the Senator's amendment. Give us just a moment to get it up on the board. All right, Senator may explain the amendment.
Thank you. I was notified that I needed a technical clarification, so just put the amendment. I moved the amendment.
Just ask columbarium. Interesting. I don't know what this is. Let's hear from the committee.
No objection to the amendment, Mr.
No
President.
objection to the technical amendment. Oh. All right.
President.
Yes, recognize Senator from District 7.
Thank you. Can I just ask the bill and amendment lie over under the rule? I'm talking to the sponsor on something completely different within the bill, and I'm trying to work through it, and I just asked for one day.
Senator's motion is in order. Bill and amendment will lie over under the rule. All right, clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 226, Chair, Finance Committee, Maryland Heritage Area Authority and Heritage Areas, alterations, favorable.
Recognize the Vice Chair of the Committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 226 is a departmental bill. It modifies the composition of the Maryland Heritage Authority by removing one member and adding two. In addition, it modifies the authorization and requirements related to the authority awarding grants and loans under the program. There's no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 226 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 248, Senator Bidel, Maryland Technology Development Corporation Investments, alterations, favorable.
Recognize the Chair of the Committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 248 requires the Maryland Technology Development Corporation, also known as TEDCO, to adopt a process for considering remedies, including divestment for TEDCO investments in a business that no longer meets the definition of a qualified business. And the bill also authorizes, rather than requires, TEDCO to divest or instead pursue another remedy that is in TEDCO's best interest within 15 years after making an equity investment. There are no amendments. There's no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing, and I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 248 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. All right, we have another, we've got the Finance Committee, calendar number 4. Finance has been busy. If we can read the first bill, Madam Clerk.
Senate Bill 83, Senator Simon Eyre, Health Occupations, Grounds for Discipline, Federal and Court Actions, favorable.
Recognizing the senator from Carroll County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 83 makes consistent the grounds for discipline by specified health occupations boards. Under the bill, a health occupation board can deny licensure to an applicant or discipline a licensee for an act that would be grounds for discipline under the board's standards if the individual is disciplined by an outside court or disciplinary authority of any other state or country, or any branch of the Uniformed Services or the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. There are no amendments, there's no fiscal impact, and no opposition from the committee at the committee hearing, so I would move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 83 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 88, Senator Guile, State Board of Examiners, an audiologist, hearing aid dispenser, speech language pathologist, and music therapist, authority to issue limited licenses to practice music therapy, favorable.
Recognize the senator from the 33rd as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 88 authorizes the State Board of Examiners for audiologists, hearing aid dispensers, speech-language pathologists, and music therapists to issue a limited license to practice music therapy. The purpose of the limited license is to allow an individual to practice while completing the requirements for full licensure, specifically while waiting to take or receive the results of the certification exam. There are no amendments. There is no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 88 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 96, Senator Simon Nair, Sheila E. Hickson Behavioral Health Services Matching Grant Program for Service Members and Veterans Terminology Active Service Members, favorable.
Recognizing the senator from the 37th is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 96 broadens the definition of eligible individual under the Sheila E. Hickson Behavioral Health Services Matching Grant Program. Specifically, the bill removes the limitation that a participant be an active service member or the spouse, child, or stepchild of an active service member, instead requiring the participant be a service member or the spouse, child, or stepchild of a service member. Eligibility for veterans and their family members is not changed. There are no amendments, there's no fiscal impact, and there's no opposition to the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 96 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 169, Senator Lamb, Hospitals, Emergency Pregnancy-Related Medical Conditions, Procedures, favorable.
Recognizing the bill sponsor is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 169 generally codifies the Federal Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, EMTALA, in state law with respect to pregnancy-related medical conditions. As background, EMTALA is a long-standing federal statute that goes back to the 1970s that requires all hospitals across the country to be able to provide emergency care to stabilize any patient coming through their doors. And up until recently, under the current administration, EMTALA was enforced by the federal government to include emergency abortion care. That is no longer the case. And so the concern here, and the reason what this bill is trying to address, is instances where a woman may require an emergency abortion and by no choice of their own may be transported by an ambulance to a hospital that may be faith-based or religious-based or have other reasons to not provide emergency abortion care previously required under EMTALA. And so this bill would be a state equivalent to require emergency abortion care to be provided if it were passed into statute by any hospital here in the state of Maryland. If a hospital with an emergency department determines that a patient has an emergency pregnancy-related medical condition, the hospital must, using the staff and facilities available to the hospital, provide for the examination and treatment required to stabilize the emergency pregnancy-related medical condition, including termination of a pregnancy when termination is medically necessary to stabilize the patient or transfer the patient to another medical facility. If an emergency pregnancy-related medical condition has not been stabilized, the hospital may not transfer the patient unless the transfer is done consistently with EMTALA. The bill also establishes protections for hospital employees, establishes penalties applicable to a hospital for negligent violation of a bill's requirements, and makes conforming changes. There are no amendments. There is no fiscal impact. This was not opposed by the hospitals. Move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 169 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 186, Senator Augustine, State Board of Examiners in Optometry, Examination Requirements and Time Period for Inactive Status, favorable.
Recognize the senator from the 22nd as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill clarifies the examination requirements for licensure and reinstatement under the State Board of Examiners in Optometry. The bill specifies that an applicant for licensure or reinstatement must pass all sections of each part of an examination, and the board must determine the passing scores required. There are no amendments, and I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
All right, floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 186 is ordered printed for third reading. Before we jump to the next one, Senator from Carroll County.
Thank you, Mr. President. We recognized earlier some folks from Leadership Carroll, but now we have a new group that's joined us in the gallery behind me. And I just want to ask the body to warm welcome for Carroll County Chamber of Commerce Leadership Carroll class members that have come in the gallery. So
Excellent.
welcome. From myself and the senator from District 42.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. All right, clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 244, the President Code Revision Health Maryland Medical Assistance Program, favorable.
Recognizing Chair of the Committee is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 244 revises, restates, and recodifies the laws of the state related to the Maryland Medicaid program. The bill clarifies language and makes technical and stylistic changes. However, any such changes are non-substantive. There are no amendments. There is no physical impact. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 244 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 260, Senator C. Jackson, Maryland Health Care Commission membership, favorable, 2 amendments.
I recognize the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 260, as amended, alters the membership of the Maryland Health Care Commission by requiring that one member be an administrator of a hospital. The bill also makes a corresponding change, reducing from 9 to 8 the number of members who may not have any connection with the management or policy of a healthcare provider or payer. The bill reduces from 5 to 4 the number of members who must be a resident of different counties with a population of 300,000 or more. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 replaces the reference to a representative of a hospital with an administrator of a hospital as described. There is no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objection? Without objection, the 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 260 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. All right, lots of good work out of finance. Let's move to education, energy, and the environment. This is calendar number 2. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 32, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, State Athletic Commission, blood testing of contestants, timing, favorable.
Recognize the senator from the 23rd as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this departmental bill extends the period of time from 30 to 90 days before which an applicant for a license to participate as a contestant in a boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, or mixed martial arts contest must be tested for specified diseases. A contestant must present documentary evidence to the State Athletic Commission of negative tests for HIV, the antigen of virus hepatitis B, and antibodies of hepatitis C conducted within the 90-day period. There are no amendments, no cost to the bill, and no opposition. Move favorable to committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 32 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 65, Senator Kagan, Election Law, Campaign Finance, Exploratory Committees, favorable.
Recognizing the bill sponsor is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, if this bill looks familiar, it's because we have passed it unanimously in 2023, 2024, and 2025. It has already come out of our committee unanimously this year and simply sets guardrails and increased transparency on exploratory committees, which currently are not covered on our campaign finance laws. There was no opposition, no amendments. Move adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 65 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 70, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Adult Education, High School Diploma Pathways, GED Option Pilot Program, and Maryland Diploma Works Pathway. Favorable with 2 amendments.
Recognizing Senator from the 43rd as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. According to our Department of Labor, there are over 500,000 Marylanders that do not have a high school diploma. That means that they're not able to participate in a number of our job training programs or apprenticeships. We currently have 3 pathways to getting a diploma as an alternative to the traditional way in our K through 12 system. This bill creates the high school diploma pathway, and it's a GED option program. Maryland Works. We amended the bill. We struck the option pilot program and instead created the MDW pathway, and it creates a competency-based pathway to earn the college, the high school diploma. It allows for individuals to demonstrate that they have the equivalency by doing any of the 4. 1, an industry-level recognized credential. 2, foundational academic skills assessment. 3, career and technical education coursework. And 4, on-the-job training. This would be available to adults who do not have a high school diploma and who are not currently attending compulsory schooling. There is no fiscal impact. We do have 2 committee amendments. One is technical. The second, as I said earlier, removes all references to the GED option pilot program. This bill passed unanimously in our committee. I move for the adoption of the favorable committee report and the committee amendments.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 70 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 128, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Maryland Military Department Supervision of State Active Duty Personnel. Favorable with 1 amendment.
Recognize the senator from District 9 as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Bill 128 was brought to us by the Maryland Military Department. It clarifies that the Adjutant General, whether she is in state active duty or federal status, is in operational command of all state members of the military department and the National Guard. There is 1 committee amendment, which makes this an emergency bill. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report and the amendment. It passed the committee unanimously.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 1 committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 128 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 133, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Business, Occupations, and Professions, State Boards and Commissions, Sunset Extension. Favorable.
Recognizing the senator from the 38th as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 133 is a departmental bill. It extends the termination date for several occupational and professional licensing boards and commissions within the Maryland Department of Labor and extends it through July 1st of 2032. And it applies to the State Board of Barbers, cosmetologists, professional land surveyors, real estate appraisers, appraisal management companies and home inspectors, State Board of Individual Tax Preparers. By July 1st of 2030, Maryland Labor must submit a report to the Joint Audit and Evaluation Committee with information regarding the boards and commissions. And this bill takes effect June 1st of 2026. This departmental bill passed the committee unanimously. There are no amendments, and I move for favorable adoption of SB 133, favorable report.
All right, floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 133 is ordered printed for 3rd reading. It's those little bills that just, they fly right on by. All the 6 licensing boards. Just right on, keep on going. All right. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 192, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Military Family Inclusion Act, favorable.
Recognize the senator from the 27th District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 192, this departmental bill alters the membership of the Maryland Commission on Caregivers, the Board of Trustees of the Maryland Veterans Trust, the Maryland Veterans Commission, and the Maryland Youth Advisory Council. The bill also specifies how representative seats and organizations may be removed from Maryland's Veterans Commission. There are no amendments. There were no opposition. There was unanimous vote in the committee. Move that the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 192 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 207, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Higher Education Guaranteed Access Grant Program, applicability, Senate favorable.
Recognize the senator from Baltimore City as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This departmental bill delays transfer of the Guaranteed Access Grant Award notification and issuance responsibility from MHEC to the institutions of higher education until the 2029 to 2030 financial aid award year. There are no amendments, and I move adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 207 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Now, it's not guaranteed access, but we had a problem with guaranteed access last year. But if the committee really can look into that teacher grant, I don't know if folks saw that story today of teachers being guaranteed tuition funds, and then it was administered improperly by MHEC, and then they were stuck with the bill. So we need to figure out what's going on there. Last year was guaranteed access. Now it's this teacher grant. So got to figure that out. All right, let's go to calendar 3. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 21, Senator Simon Eyre, Natural Resources, State Parks, Maryland Golden Age Pass, favorable.
Mr. President.
Yes, recognize the senator from the 31st as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 21 deals with existing Maryland Golden Age Pass laws that provide seniors with free day pass to state parks, discount camping, and boating launches. This bill updates our laws to current policy and corrects where law conflicts with existing policy. There are no amendments, no opposition. I move the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 21 is hereby ordered passed for printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 161, Senator Simon Eyre, Natural Resources, State Park Entry Fee, Exemptions, favorable, 1.
Recognize the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 161 expands an exemption of the state park entry fees to veterans by making it also applicable to the Maryland National Guard members. The bill also clarifies acceptable forms of identification that may be presented by a veteran to gain access without a fee. There was one committee amendment that added co-sponsors. I move the amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 161 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 164, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Natural Resources, Pamela J. Kelly Tree, Mendows, Maryland Program, alterations, favorable with 2 amendments.
Tremendous senator from the 43rd. Recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 164 is a departmental bill from the Department of Natural Resources. It updates and expands the statutory program. Current law limits very narrowly the use of funds for just the planting of native trees and shrubs. This Senate bill allows the program to also support the care of those trees and shrubs that have been planted. Also, to enhance community participation in tree planting, stewardship in tree planting of the existing native trees and shrubs, and also supports a range of community forestry activities, including long-term maintenance. There's no fiscal impact. There are 2 committee amendments. One is technical. The second clarifies that the program expansion is focused on stewardship and community forest activities, consistent with the department's intent. I move for the adoption of the committee's amendments and the favorable committee report.
All right, floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 164 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 167, Senator Simon Ayer, Department of Natural Resources, License Permits, Registration, and Public Profiles, Notation of Veteran Status, favorable with 1 amendment.
Recognizing the bill sponsor is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 167 authorized the Department of Natural Resources to establish a process to include a notation indicating veteran status on a license, permit, registration, or public profile. There was 1 committee amendment that added co-sponsors. There was no opposition. I move the amendment and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 1 committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 167 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 228, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Maryland Environmental Service, authorizations and requirements, alterations, favorable.
Recognize the senator from Harford County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 228 is the departmental bill from the Maryland Environmental Service. The bill expands the duties that the treasurer of MES is authorized to delegate with approval of the board of directors to the deputy treasurer and increases the maximum dollar value threshold for small procurements from $25,000 to $50,000. The bill also updates and expands public notice requirements for rate changes in service districts. There were no committee amendments. I move for adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objection? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 228 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. All right, let's stick with the committee and go to the special order so that we have, go back to where Triple E had a special order bill that we had to pull back. This is special order calendar number 2. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 141, Senator Hester, Election Law, Election Misinformation, Election Disinformation, and Deepfakes. The bill is on 2nd reading and open to amendment.
All right, the bill is open to amendment. Senator has an amendment. Pages will please collect and distribute the senator's amendment. And Senator, if you could just give us a moment to get these. All right, Senator may explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we actually thought that this was in the bill when it came over out of committee, but basically what this amendment does is that it ensures that any group that is exempt from the requirements of the 2nd section of the bill, which criminalizes the distribution of misinformation on deepfakes, is also exempt from having the State Board of Elections take action against them or seek attorney's fees. It's kind of a belt and suspenders thing. I'd like to move the amendment.
Interesting. All right, Senator moves the amendment. This came from the committee. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Any objections? Without objection, the amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 141 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. All right, we have one more 2nd reader calendar. This is out of judicial proceedings. This is calendar number 2. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 444, Delegate Williams, Public Safety, Immigration agreement, prohibition, favorable.
Recognizing the chair of the committee is the floor leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This emergency bill is identical to Senate Bill 245 as passed by the Senate. The bill prohibits the state, a unit of local government, a county sheriff, or an agency, officer, employee, or agent of the state, or a unit of local government from entering into the immigration enforcement agreements. Any such entity with an existing agreement must exercise the agreement's termination provision immediately upon the bills taking effect. There are no committee amendments, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. On the report, recognize the minority leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just on the process first, Mr. Chairman of the committee, if you yield for a question.
Well, the chair, Senator may proceed.
I understand that this House bill did not have a committee hearing. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. And in following our normal process so that every bill is considered, even as it crosses over, whether it's exactly the same or not, what was the decision made, and why was it not felt necessary that a bill of this importance is not heard over in the Senate as well?
Sure. Thank you very much, Senator. So as you alluded to, under Rule 37, all bills shall be considered, not necessarily having a hearing. Our procedures in the Judicial Proceedings Committee has been that if a bill is identical, if it's a cross-file, a hearing is not necessary. We move forward with that policy, and that's why the bill's here before us today.
So you're stating that it's a committee rule itself, and it doesn't follow Rule 37?
It does follow. It's consistent. The policy of the committee is consistent with the Rule 37.
The rule says considered, and I believe if you look up considered and what it would be, whether it's in Maryland rules, there's not a specific definition, but if you look at Mason's manual, it says that the use of the term in its ordinary legislative context, meaning that a committee must take up the measure, hold necessary hearings, markups, and take action and other procedural actions through voting. It doesn't necessarily define it, but that's what considered should be, not just the fact that it's considered because it's exactly the same, therefore we're not going to have the legislative process take place.
Thank you very much, Senator. We actually sought guidance from the Attorney General, and it was the conclusion that we were consistent with the policy, we were consistent with the rules, and so we proceeded under that guidance.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think in order for a individual to participate in a bill hearing, 48 hours is needed now to sign up with our new sign-up process. Is that accurate still?
That's generally the policy, but for bills that were direct cross files, our policy has been that we don't need a hearing.
And the public can attend voting sessions as well too, correct?
Absolutely.
So this bill was put on a voting session the evening before a 9 a.m. voting session?
No, there was I think it was over the weekend. So I think we had more than 48 hours of time that the public was made aware that we were going to be voting on a Tuesday.
Voting was...
Or Thursday, rather.
Sorry, the vote was on a Thursday?
There was more than 48 hours of time of notice given. What day was it? We gave notice on Tuesday, the vote was on a Thursday.
There was notice on Tuesday that the vote was going to be taken on
Thursday
morning at 9 a.m. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, just
on the report. Senator,
on the
please.
report, again, I think that we're getting, kind of in a slippery slope here on the way that we're treating bills that are coming across, especially from the House. And as I've stood up before, on bills that have already been heard and passed the Senate. And I understand in the purpose of time that we want to get through all of these bills in a timely manner. But at the same time, I think it's very important, especially in a bill like this, emergency legislation, that bill hearings are necessary. They're a part of the legislative process. They give people the opportunity to come in and express their positions on the legislation that we're hearing. And just because we had a full bill hearing in the Senate does not mean that everybody that had that opportunity was able to participate. And maybe they would have participated in a House bill hearing. But, to just not do anything at all, just to move it straight from second reader rostrum to a voting session, I think takes away a lot of the participation of the public. I think it's a bad precedent that we're setting here, Mr. President, and I would just ask in the future that we take a look at that and we make sure that we are handling things in the way that the public can be proud of as well.
Thank you, Senator. All right, yes, recognize the President Pro Tem.
Thank
On the
you.
floor.
The floor leader yield for a question.
Chair yield. Senator may proceed.
What is the posture of this piece of legislation as it relates to the legislation that we looked at that was similar to this?
Thank you very much, Senator. It's in the exact same posture.
Okay, so we have all already had an opportunity to see it, hear it. Did public participate in the hearing in the Senate?
That's absolutely correct, Senator.
Thank you.
All right, on the report, recognize the Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if I could ask the floor to yield on the report.
Senator may proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could I ask, when we passed this identical bill, it was an emergency bill when we passed it, correct, in the Senate?
That's right. We amended it for that. But
We
yes,
amended
it
it to
was.
be emergency. Okay, so it requires 29 votes on the floor for an emergency bill to pass.
That's correct.
I was curious, at the time we passed this, we were in a situation nationally, and particularly as it relates to Minnesota, where obviously tensions were running high. We debated it extensively here. We debated the merits of really getting serious about illegal immigration, particularly illegal immigrants who have committed other criminal acts, and trying to get a handle on that. We debated the merits of when a state has purposefully decided they don't want to cooperate, why that would necessitate greater boots on the ground. We also talked about, hey, there could be ways that could be done better, could be done smarter, different things we talked about extensively. Since that time, there have been some changes in Minneapolis. There was a little bit of a meeting of the minds. There's been a change with who is running the operation there. It's to some extent, there's been a reduction of force, and a little bit unreported in some of the legacy media has been that there's been talk about how some folks were moved out from ICE, but not as much reporting has been on Minnesota agreed and Minneapolis agreed we're going to cooperate more. We're going to cooperate. We're going to utilize our county and our local jails and cooperate with immigration and customs enforcement as they do their important job. So I'm wondering if ramming this through now, I wasn't for the bill, but I understood that from the perspective of the majority that it was an emergency, we needed to do something right away. Wouldn't it be wiser for us now to pause and see how this works out? And I ask that question because I think we've laid out in pretty clear detail, and I think a number of our sheriffs have, that when you pass this bill and get rid of 287G, which you ought to be doing if you want to have less ICE involvement, what you ought to be doing would be to actually make every county do 287G, because then you have a written documented process. It's in the jail system. It is safe, et cetera, et cetera. And we had that debate. So my question to you is, wouldn't it be wiser for us to take a beat? We're in session for a lot longer, and take a little time before we finalize passing this, and obviously the Senate bill is over in the House.
No, thank you very much, Senator. I watched Mr. Homan's press conference, and I thought it was a good faith effort to kind of cool tensions. But since that has happened, there has been no discernible drawdown of forces in terms of the reports that I'm reading. The governor and the mayor have also not come to the fore to say that they're going to have blanket 287G agreements. So that deal that was talked about has not materialized in any significant form. So I'm not quite sure we're operating on the same ground truth there, but things are evolving. But Minnesota and Minneapolis have not engaged in those, said that they're going to cooperate with any form of agreement, and there has been no discernible drawdown, is what I'm reading. So,
Mr. President, if I could continue that line of questioning, my understanding has been there has been a reduction of tensions. There has been some drawdown, but I understand reports can be, obviously, we don't get detailed, movements of personnel reports. Again, another reason, though, just what you said, it sounds like things are not going to happen overnight, but it sounds like moving in the right direction. So I guess I guess more of a statement, Mr. President, on the report. And thank you for answering my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed.
I feel very strongly that, again, waiting a week or two would not be a bad idea. And I once again urge the body, and I know we passed this bill just, I guess it was last week. It feels like It both feels like yesterday and 3 weeks ago. It's been a strange start to session. I really feel, and in talking to a lot of law enforcement folks, that are doing it the right way, no matter what somebody thinks about ICE or 287G, the sheriffs that are doing 287G have been doing it in good faith. There's been some times that interest groups have said we don't like it, but there really have not been a lot of serious problems with it. And so I just, again, would say I think it would be wise for us to hold this a little longer and see if we can allow temperatures to cool down. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. All right, on the report, any discussion, further discussion on the report? Any objections to the report? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, House Bill 444 is ordered printed for third reading. All right, we have, let's do, Madam Clerk, if we could ring the bells, please. Madam Secretary, excuse me. And if we could do a quorum call before third reading calendar.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? All right. The clerk will take the call. With 44 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. We have third reading calendar number 3. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 255, Senator Sidnor, Voting Rights Act of 2026, Counties and Municipal Corporations.
All right, Senate Bill 255 is on third reading for final passage. This is an emergency bill. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 30 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 255, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. All right, Senators, the desk is clear. Desk is clear, so we're in a good spot today. Let's do committee announcements. Chair Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance will meet at 1 o'clock today for a long list of bill hearings. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Education, Energy, and the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Triple E will meet at 1 p.m. for bill hearings. We have 12 bill hearings, 94 witnesses. Thank you, Mr. President.
Busy day. You are welcome. All right, Senator, Budget and Tax.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will meet at 1 o'clock for full committee budget hearings and then voting to follow.
Excellent. Judicial Proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Judicial Proceedings Committee will meet today at 1 p.m. for bill hearings. We have 11 bills on the docket.
11. Excellent. All right. Other standing committees, select committees, caucuses, delegations. Yes, Senator from the 37th. Protocol.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think I misspoke last time. I used a different word. I tried to say president. It didn't come out properly, so I apologize.
Oh, that's why we decided to skip the Lincoln Day. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
That is a public apology. Public apology.
Wait a minute.
We are going to redo it. We're going to redo the. We're going to do the speech on Thursday, which is Lincoln's actual birthday.
Was
actual
it this
birthday
morning?
as well.
It was this morning. Did I just get cut down? But in all seriousness, on behalf of the Protocol Committee, today is an important day. And so with that, I'd like to request the use of the senator's name.
Senator may proceed.
Okay, so today, colleagues, we are celebrating the birthday for Senator Jason Gallion.
Hey. Happy birthday. Nowhere he'd rather be than right here. All right. Any further announcements? Yes, Senator from District 6.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock in the Nail Room, we have our Bible study. Everybody's welcome. But also, we'll be having our prayer breakfast. We'll be sending out a flyer for everybody. Again, it's free. We would love everybody to come and enjoy just a time of fellowship and a time of peace and quiet. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock will be the first meeting of the general membership of the Jewish Caucus, 9 o'clock in the Cade Room, first
Cade.
floor of the James Building.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any further announcements? Two just administrative things, Senators. Just to give a heads up, on Thursday we're going to have some special guests visit us who are traveling, and so they're going to come. The Monks for Peace are going to come by, and so they'll be traveling through Annapolis, and we'll be saying a few quick words and greeting members in both chambers. The other thing is at noon today, there is the announcement of the opening of the old Treasury building, which is the last building to finally have been restored. So we'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony. This will be a public display. The Archives has done a phenomenal job. Department of General Services has done a really great job. So we are launching. It'll be open and available. Was it today at noon? At noon. Oh, it's going to be a display site, a history of the building and the Treasury's role and over time. And yeah, it should be they've done a really phenomenal job on it. All right, I think that does it for all of our. Yes, Senator from Montgomery County, point of personal privilege.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, I stand up today. I really, Mr. President, not quite sure what to say, but just kind of give an understanding of a phone call I got this morning from my son, who is riding on the bus, and notified me. He was very upset that the congregation that I belong to in Olney was vandalized. And what I didn't realize was that his call to me and then my call to the congregation was their first indication that something happened. What's interesting, colleagues, is, I grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, which has a lot of has a big Orthodox community, but I remember even in that community, I was subject to anti-Semitism. So why do I say that is, Olney is a wonderful, wonderful community with great, great people, but regardless of where you are, there's still signs of hate. And I think, I mentioned it to you earlier this morning, Mr. President, is regardless of where we are in the state of Maryland, we really need to model leadership, model acceptance, model love, because what struck me most about the phone call that I got from my son was that now it's impacting future generations of Marylanders. And we have to model how we treat one another and how we want to lead, because people are watching. So my reason for standing up this morning is joining my colleagues in expressing our support and solidarity with the temple in Olney that was vandalized, but also reinforcing my resolve and my commitment to stand with each one of you, regardless of where you represent. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for the opportunity to address my Senate family and my constituents this morning.
Thank you so much for that reflection, Senator. Thank you. Deeply appreciated, and we're so sorry that you and everyone is dealing with the level of hate that we're seeing across in too many places. All right. Let's do a quorum call before we adjourn.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 45 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session, recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until Wednesday, February 11th, and we'll be meeting at 11 a.m.
11 a.m. tomorrow, 11 a.m. Without objection, so ordered. Have a wonderful day, everyone.